Hey everybody, somebody sent me this really cool video of the interview with Dana Bash and JD Vance, and they wanted me to do a reaction on it. So I'm going to check it out and see exactly how this works out. So let's go ahead and check it out in the meantime. So in this video, we got an interview with Dana Bash. Dana Bash is interviewing JD Vance, and let's go ahead and check it out.
Republican Vice Presidential nominee JD
Here we go.
Vance, who represents Ohio in the U.S. Senate. Thank you for being here, sir. So the mayor of Springfield, Ohio, Rob Rue, said, quote, all these federal politicians that have negatively spun our city, they need to know they're hurting our city. And it was
I love her. I love how she takes a situation and she says she'll take an open statement and she'll take an open-ended statement that's directed towards a large group of people, and then all of a sudden she'll zero it in. Let's see how she does with this one.
their words that did it. Before Donald Trump talked about eating dogs and cats on a debate stage, it was you, Senator, who first elevated this baseless rumor. These are your constituents. So why are you putting them at risk?
I love it. I love it. She spun. Okay, so she took the big, wide accusation of politicians in general are doing this, and she zeroed it right into JD Vance and said, why are you doing this? That is crazy. I'm telling you, Dana Bash, there's a reason why her last name is Bash. It's because she will bash anybody she interviews that she doesn't like. I'm telling you, watch.
By continuing to spread claims about Haitian immigrants.
There's nothing Dana Bash can actually do at this point in an interview that will surprise me, considering how she's really been jumping all over Vance. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know how he's been taking it. I don't have the patience to deal with what she says to him. I would not have the patience to deal with that at all.
Despite officials in your state saying that there's no evidence and pleading for you to stop.
Look at that. The people in your state are saying there's no evidence. What people is she talking about? Let's fact check here. What people is she talking about? What confirmed sources does she actually have that she said that there's people that are saying that? Who is saying that? Who is requesting people not to do that? By the way, if you know a little bit more about this, let me know in the comments. Give me a little bit more information to go on this. I would really appreciate it. I'm not a politician, so you know.
Well, Dana, first of all, what's putting the residents of Springfield at risk, which was a town completely ignored by the American media until Donald Trump and I started surfacing some of these concerns?
That's true. Until just recently, and until the election polls and all this nonsense with the animals popped up, I never even heard of Springfield. To be honest, I live here. I live here in New York City, and I have never heard of Springfield, Ohio, in my life.
Is that
But that's not to say anything negative about Springfield. But you know, I've just never been there. I don't know anything about it. Again, if you know more about it, just leave me some information in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
they can't afford housing, they can't afford health care. The schools have been overwhelmed, the hospitals have been overwhelmed, and they're overwhelmed because Kamala Harris allowed 20,000 Haitian migrants to get dropped into a small Ohio town of about 40,000 people, and it's completely overwhelmed the services. Now you ask,
I'm not surprised. Again, the way the border's been open, the influx of people that I see in my area alone here in New York City is crazy. I see so many people that have come in, and I feel so bad. I feel so bad because everybody is losing in this situation. This situation is not good for anybody. It's not good for the residents. It's not good for the people coming in. It's not good for the people who provide services like the police officers. It's not good for the people who pick up the garbage. I mean, it's a mess out here. Let me tell you. It is a mess. But again, when you have an influx of people the way they had, that they just fluxed them right into the country. It was crazy. I've never in my life have I ever seen them swing the border open like that and do what they did this past election. I got to look into that. Again, if you know more about that, please let me know in the comments. Again, I'm not a politician. I am not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm neither one of them. I am not going to be voting in this election because I don't like either one of the two candidates. If I had to make a choice at this point, I'd probably go with Trump, only because a lot of what he says makes a little bit more sense to me than anything else. And for economic purposes, I made more money when he was in office. So, personally, I mean, but again, I'm not voting. So let me know again, more information in the comment if you can. I'd appreciate that very much.
Why have I talked about some of the things that I've been talking about? Let me just say this. My constituents have brought approximately a dozen separate concerns to me. 10 of them are verifiable and confirmable, and a couple of them I talk about because my constituents.
So he's telling he's telling her straight out, look, my constituents are coming to me with concerns. I'm not out looking for this. I'm not on Facebook looking. I'm not on Twitter looking. I'm not on Reddit looking. My constituents, people that I am responsible to, people that I have a fiduciary responsibility to, are coming to me asking me about this. And they want, they're looking for answers.
Are telling me firsthand that they're seeing these things. So I have two options, Dana. I could ignore them, which is what the American media has done for years to this community, or I can actually talk about
Wow.
what people are telling me. And of course, many of the things that the media says are completely baseless have since been confirmed. For example, I was told, Dana, that by the American media, that it was baseless that migrants were capturing the geese from the local park pond and eating them. And yet there are 911 calls from well before this ever became a viral sensation of people.
So there are 911 calls. So he himself actually knows about the fact that knows more about that in regards to that than she does, because she doesn't know anything about 911 calls. She never even mentioned it. She keeps saying that everything was fact checked and baseless and this, that, and the third.
Complaining about that exact thing happening. So my attitude is listen to my constituents. Sometimes they're going to say things that people don't like, but they're saying things that people don't like because their town has been overwhelmed, and it's my job to try to fight for them and to.
Oh, she's had enough. She's about to go in. What is she going to do next? How is she going to attack him now?
Protect them. Kamala Harris opened the border, and now these people are suffering. That's what I'm focused on, Dana.
Senator, I have to go through several things that you just said. First,
Look how she's looking down. She's got stuff written down. She's literally has notes. She's got notes that she's going to try to attack him with. Obviously, that's what she does.
of all, the Clark County Sheriff and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources reviewed 11 months of 911 calls. They only identified 2 instances of people alleging Haitians were taking geese out of parks. They found 0 evidence to substantiate those claims.
Of course not. The geese are gone. Unless someone took pictures of them while they were doing it, which I'm sure they're going to make sure that no one was recording them, or unless somebody was videotaping it. I'm sure somewhere, though, if that happened, again, I'm not saying it did. I'm not saying it didn't. At this point, I can't say either way. I have nothing under which to base that. So I'm like you. I'm looking for more information.
Also, other evidence that you have talked about, even you've retweeted alleged evidence, are unsourced social media videos from a different city, apparently no connection to Haitians. And this,
again, unsourced, meaning you got the videos from social media, and who were they tagged to? Who were they come from? What metadata was on the video? I mean, come on. Don't tell me you have unconfirmed videos when you know where the videos are coming from.
is from a conservative activist who offered a $5,000 reward for such things. And then going just backly to the schools and the hospitals and
Oh, so now she literally makes a blanket statement out that somebody on the conservatives are literally willing to pay somebody to come up with some negative information. I'm not buying it.
so forth being overwhelmed. Nobody is disputing that the town of Springfield, Ohio, needs help. But you're not just a bystander. You're the senator from Ohio. So instead of saying
Exactly. He's the senator from Ohio. Isn't he going to know a little bit more about that and have access to more information than she possibly would? I would think so.
things that are are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools, the government buildings to be evacuated because of bomb threats, because of the cats and dogs thing.
Bomb threats now. I've heard nothing about bomb threats. Have you heard anything about bomb threats out there? If you have, like I said, give me some more information in the comments below and we'll talk about it, or I'd like to be enlightened on it. I'd like to know more about this, really.
Why not actually be constructive in helping to better integrate them into the community? Because there are a lot of employers there who say that the hate.
So now she's saying literally straight out, why don't you be more constructive about helping to and bring them into the community? In other words, she's literally accusing him of being negative about helping them to come into the community and being a hindrance. Because if you're not a help, then you're a hindrance. So she's doing this like on the download here, trying to like insult him on the download without him realizing it.
Workers are helping fill jobs that they need desperately filled.
All right, nobody is filling any jobs that are desperately needed filled right now, because right now, the way the job market is, there are no jobs out there. I'm in New York City, and every day I walk down the street and I see people selling food out of carts, doing selling merchandise at tables, because there's no jobs. There are no jobs available. It's just not there. So this is New York City, and it's tremendously big, and we have such a big population. Imagine in Ohio. There's no jobs. Come on, don't bullshit me, man.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing.
There you go. He's calling her on her bull crap. Let's see.
Nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb.
Now, again, look at her body language. Look at how she's her posture. Watch.
Threats and so forth. It's disgusting. The violence is disgusting.
Look, immediately she drops her vision down. So she's literally on the defensive right now. Her wall just came straight up. Let's see what she does.
We condemn it. We condemn all.
Oh, she's parsing her lips and opening her mouth. She's about to say something venomous.
All violence.
Senator, this happened.
Bam! There it is. There it is. Hey, I can't take it no more. I'm gonna interrupt you because I know I can. I've gotten away with it before. I'm gonna get away with it now.
After you and President Trump were on the.
Now she's talking over him. He's talking. She decides. She's not even asking him, for permission to interrupt or anything. She's not even saying, excuse me, common courtesy, excuse me. But no, she's not even doing that. She's being totally disrespectful.
Dana, on the debate stage said
Dana,
that
and unprofessional. Let's be honest here. She's be totally unprofessional. She's a seasoned newscaster with years of experience interviewing people. You're going to tell me she doesn't know better? Let me know what you think in the comments.
And dogs
you asked a question, Dana, and I'm going to go ahead and answer it. What we have said is that
now she wants to interject her answer into it. In other words, not listen to what he's saying, but put her own answer into it. Next thing you know, she's going to be wanting to put her own words in his mouth. That's crazy.
This town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now, you just
CNN, I'd like to ask you guys, why do you let Dana Bash get away with this? How do you let her get away with this? This is not professional. She doesn't do this to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Why are you letting her do it to JD Walz, to JD Vance? Why are you letting her do that to JD Vance? What's the deal? I bet you if Trump was there, you wouldn't be letting her get away with that. She wouldn't do that to Trump.
Accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is...
Exactly. She's accusing you of inciting violence in the community. She's taking an accusatory posture. Look at her face as she's like throwing her head back like, eee. Yeah, she's nasty.
Surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies. Are we not allowed to talk about these problems because some psychopaths are threatening violence?
No. You're not allowed to talk about it because you're a conservative. And because the fact that you're a conservative, you're not allowed to have an opinion. Why? because you're part of the patriarchy. Let's not even get into that.
Condemn the violence on the one hand, but also talk about the terrible consequences of Kamala Harris's open border on the other hand. Now,
That's
let me
right.
just fact check a couple of other things that you said, Dana, because it's
Come
important.
on.
You
Come
said
on,
all
JD.
these migrants are in the country legally. They're
They are not. That's a lie. That is a lie.
in the country through what's called temporary protective status.
Right.
That is when Kamala Harris waved a magic amnesty wand, taking people and giving them legal status. That is
And I never understood that. Why did you issue amnesty to all the new people coming in when you've got people that have been in this country for over 10, 15 years that were waiting for amnesty and you never gave it to them? And they're here working, producing, paying taxes, and doing the best they can to struggle and survive. I know because I've seen a lot of them and I know a lot of them and they're great people. Why didn't you take care of them first? Why didn't you take care of those that are here first? Those migrants that came years ago. Instead, you gave preference to all the new ones that just arrived. Why did you do that? Kamala Harris. I would say Joe Biden, but Joe doesn't seem to be with us anymore. He really doesn't say much anymore.
that is not to say that they're here legally. That is a terrible indictment of her amnesty policies that have
Yes.
further opened the
But they're
border
not-
and further
but it's
caused
not illegal. You
terrible
might-
migration.
Oh, it's totally illegal. What do you mean it's not illegal? They came across the border illegally. They were not. They did not come in with visas. They did not petition to come in like everybody else did. They literally came in one drove massive quantity of millions of people. It's crazy.
You
into
might
this
be,
country.
you might not agree with the policy, and obviously you don't, which is totally fair and legitimate.
Of course, it's fair and legitimate. The policy is crap. The policy is ridiculous. The policy is ridiculous. Literally, you're bringing people into the country without vetting them in any way, shape, or form. They're not being vetted. Why? Because you don't have communication with the government that they came from. So because you don't have that communication, you don't have an agreement, a sharing of information. You don't have that with them. So you can't get any information on them, but you're still letting them into the country. Again, this did not happen years ago. Years ago, we had areas set up where people were kept until they were vetted properly and we knew what the hell was going on. And even then, we still had problems. Come on, it's not a perfect situation. But this, what you guys did now, you guys are ridiculous.
There are policy disagreements all the time, but the fact is,
And let me tell you something. When the election came up, I literally went out and voted. I voted for the first time in my life because everybody convinced me, vote for Joe Biden. Vote for Biden because Biden is the way to go, this, that, and the third, and he's for the poor people and all this. So I voted for Biden. Boy, was that a big mistake. I bet you I won't be doing that anymore. And I bet you I know a lot of Democrats, a lot of registered Democrats that, like myself, I'm a registered Democrat, that are not going to vote Republican. And that the first chance we get, the only reason we're not switching parties now is because we're going to wait until after the election and then we'll switch parties when it's safe. Because we switch parties now, and honestly, personally, my fear is that the Democratic Party comes after me. Really, and I'm not even a politician or anything, but I just don't trust them. I don't. Not with all the stuff I've seen in the media, all the nonsense that's come out of that house of blue. It's crazy. It's nuts.
it is the law because
No,
President
Dana,
Biden
the point
and
is,
Vice
Dana,
President Harris are. But I don't want to, frankly, go down this conversation about policy
Dana,
because
you,
no.
you,
I don't want to go over this conversation about policy because I'm not prepared for it. I didn't make notes on this. I can't attack you on this. Why? Because the policy is written by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and I'm supposed to be nice with them. I'm supposed to protect them. Tell them, Dana. We see what you do on the interviews. You protect them like you have no idea. Tim Walz and Kamala Harris got such a nicey interview. And yet JD Vance, every time he's there in front of you, you go after him like he's an evil man. What the heck is going on here? This makes no sense. I've never seen in the past the media taking sides in an election. I've never seen that before. That's something that just didn't exist. But this year, I see it happening, and it turns my stomach because they're supposed to be neutral. The media is supposed to be neutral. Yet, what do I see? I see MSNBC, I see CNN, I see NBC and CBS. All of them are totally against anything that's got to do with the Republican Party. It's ridiculous. What is this? What happened? What happened?
You made a point. You don't. I agree. You don't want to talk about policy.
No,
Dana,
what I
which is
want
why
to
you're
talk
talking
about, what
other
I want to talk
distractions
about,
instead of about the fact
Senator,
that
it
Kamala
was
Harris,
your
Dana,
distraction.
granted
You
amnesty.
were the
at a
one.
No, no, not his distraction. You're the one who brought it up. You brought this up in the conversation. It wasn't his distraction. He didn't pull it out of his hat.
Who
mass
started
level. She
talking about
granted
eating
amnesty
dogs
at a
and
mass
cats.
level.
You were the one who
Dana,
brought this
my
up. The
constituents were
president
the
said it
ones
to
who talked about
60
eating
million
dog and
people.
cats, and I talked about.
And now she's going to keep trying to talk over him. This is ridiculous. JD Vance, why do you even go on interviews with Dana Bash? Don't give her any more interviews. It's not worth it. What they're getting out of it is not worth it. They're pretty much trying to play all the cards to their advantage. So cut them off. Only do interviews with Fox and networks that you know are non-biased. That's what you need to do, because these guys are ridiculous every time.
About it because you were ignoring this community. My constituents talked about
Have
it.
you
and
been
it is
to
my
Springfield?
responsibility to
CNN's been ignoring everybody that's got anything to do with the Conservative Party. Anybody.
surface their concerns when the American media
Have you been to
ignores it.
Springfield?
Dana, I've been to Springfield probably 100 times in my life.
How about
I never thought I would see the day, but I knew something was wrong when I saw that Bernie Sanders was supporting Kamala Harris. I knew something was wrong because I used to believe that Bernie Sanders had some common sense, but obviously I can tell that he doesn't. So, but now I know if he supports it, I know it's all screwed up.
taken my
recently
children
since
to
you've
get
heard
ice
this?
cream at Young's Jersey Dairy.
Have you heard recently since you've
Have I been in
gotten
the
these
last?
calls?
Have I been in the last 4 days?
No,
no,
I'm
I
talking
haven't been
about
in the last 4 days, but I've
since
talked
you've
to a lot
gotten
of
these
people
calls
in
from the
Springfield, Dana,
constituents.
and they're telling me this stuff is happening. Dana, would you like to
Yeah, he's talking to people that are there. He's talking to people that live in the area that are telling him what's going on.
ask me questions and then let me answer them, or would you like to debate me on these topics? I noticed.
Oh, I love it. See, he's finally calling her nonsense. You ask me a question, you don't let me answer the question, you attack me, and then you try to cut me off when I'm trying to answer the question because you're so disrespectful. What is that?
that when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you gave them multiple choice answers to the questions that you asked.
That's right.
You allowed
She
them to
baby fed them.
questions. I'm happy to be here to talk about policy, but if you're going to interrupt me every single time that I open my mouth, then why am I even doing this?
Exactly. Why bother?
Ask a question, and I'd ask you to be polite enough to let me answer it.
Yes.
Exactly. Be nice and let him answer the question. Don't ask him a question and then cut him off. Try to flip in and put in your own answer to it. That's ridiculous. So why are you interviewing the man? Oh, I get it. You're interviewing him because you want to make him look bad. I get it. I get it. I get it.
I am, and I think that if
I am. Oh. Why? Because everything he just said is true. So because she knows what he said is true, she feels put on the spot about it. She's got to recover now.
Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were making unsubstantiated claims that had racist undertones about people eating dogs and cats.
Unsubstantiated claims. Let's see. What kind of unsubstantiated claims have Kamala Harris and Tim Walz made? You don't even want to get me started in that one. I literally went to ChatGPT and had ChatGPT run an economic report from the years of the Harris administration or the Biden administration, and then comparing it to the Trump administration, and the numbers that I saw pretty much told me everything I needed to know. Everything I needed to know.
I would, and they didn't answer the questions about that, then I would have similar interactions with them.
Because every time you ask them questions you already know the answers to. That's nothing new. That's how you conduct your interviews.
As you know, I am very grateful that you come on the show, as I am for other Republicans. But this is something that you're hearing from constituents. I did a lot of reporting. I talked to people in Ohio over the weekend, and they're really worried about these.
Oh, now she's putting on the concerned tone because guess what? He smacked you down. He smacked you down. He saw what you were coming from, swatted you like a fly. And now all of a sudden you want to like, oh, you got to lick your wounds a little bit now. Yeah. Okay.
Claims, the policies, yes, I am agreeing with you that what I heard is that there is concern that these migrants, there's a lot of them, and the integration isn't being done fast enough and well enough. And
All right. So she's going to agree, but she's going to agree to what she decides to agree to and like throw the rest away, like eat the meat and throw out the bones as far as she's concerned.
that's a totally legitimate conversation. But there are other conversations that are happening. Aiden Clark, who is an 11-year-old boy who was killed in Springfield last year. It was a car accident involving a Haitian immigrant. You said that he was murdered. His father said that's not true. It was an accident. Here's what he said to you.
Politicians, Bernie Moreno, Chip Roy, JD Vance, and Donald Trump. They have spoken my son's name and used his death for political gain. This needs to stop now. They are not allowed, nor have they ever been allowed to mention Aiden Clark from Springfield, Ohio.
Okay. I can understand
I
that.
will listen to them one more time to hear their apologies.
I can understand
Senator,
that.
he's asking for you to apologize. Will you?
Dana, first of all, my heart goes out to the Clark family, and I don't bring their son's name up because they've clearly expressed a preference for politicians to not bring their son's name up. I wish them
There you go,
all
JD.
the best. I can't believe what kind of a tragedy they've experienced, but I'm
Yeah,
still going
that's
to keep on
crazy.
talking about what the migrants
lose
have done to
their baby
Springfield,
like that.
Ohio, and what Kamala Harris's open border has done to Springfield, Ohio. And Dana, I think this illustrates the entire
Open borders is
contrast
crazy.
between how we're trying to go about this debate.
I never understood how they could do that, how they could swing the border open and just like not care about who comes into the country anymore.
And how a lot of the Democrats are trying to go about this debate. They're talking about 12 Proud Boys marching in Springfield, Ohio. They're talking about the frankly fake debunkings of a lot of these stories that are out there. I'm talking to my constituents and I'm hearing terrible things about what's going on in Springfield, and Kamala Harris's open border policies have caused these problems. The hospitals are overwhelmed, Dana. The schools are overwhelmed. The local services are completely overwhelmed. You have people who can't afford housing. Homelessness has gone up. Murders are up by 81% because of what Kamala Harris has allowed to happen to this small community. I'm going to keep on talking about that. Now, of course,
and not just there. I mean, not just there. Even here in New York City, even where I live, which is in the suburbs, there's a place a couple of blocks away where they're constantly finding dead bodies, and it's like they don't even report it in the news anymore. I don't understand. They don't report it in the news anymore. When people break into the stores and shoplift and steal stuff, they don't arrest them anymore. There's some really weird stuff going on in New York City, and I was hoping that it was just here, but it seems to be like it's going on in a lot of other places in the country as well. It's kind of weird,
we can criticize
and it's causing a lot of businesses to go out of business as well. A lot of stores are closing down.
violence. We can also still talk about the problems that are happening in Springfield, and we should be able to do both those things simultaneously, Dana.
Yes, we should. We should be able to do it in a nonpartisan way because these negative things are things that affect all of us, Democrat and Republican. It doesn't matter. It affects all of us.
Just once and for all, you again started this in part by saying that, at which Donald Trump repeated on the debate stage, that, and he didn't say anything about the policies that you're talking about. He just said Haitians are eating dogs and cats. Can you affirmatively say now that that is a rumor that has no basis with evidence?
No, he can't because he's got no indefinite information saying that it's not. So no, he can't debunk it. So you want to get him to make a statement publicly saying that this is not happening. Why are you backing him into a corner like that?
Dana, the evidence is the firsthand account of my constituents who are telling me that this happened. And by the way, I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media ignored it. There was a congressional hearing just last week of angel moms who lost children because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media totally.
And there's several different families now that I've seen. As a matter of fact, the other day I was watching the Forbes on the Forbes channel. I was watching the hearings, and they were talking about they are literally having hearings now about who is responsible for these people that came in and murdered a lot of these people's children's that are families that live near the border and away from the border who lost children. There's so many of them now. It's really sad and disgusting because this should have never happened. This should have never happened. Had we had the proper vetting process that we've had in the past in this country, we wouldn't have brought people into the country that put people that are already living here. And I'm not even going to say Americans because it's everybody that's here. Anybody that was living here, American or otherwise, or American citizen or otherwise, and even illegal immigrant or otherwise, are put in jeopardy by these new people that are coming into the country because they're not being vetted properly. I don't understand. Why would you do that?
Ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I.
You have literally opened up a window and a door to bring so many different cell groups and splinter cells into this country. It's crazy what they did. It's crazy. As an ex-military man, I have to look at it and say, why would you jeopardize the safety of the country across the board for a political gain because you wanted to play tug of war with the Democrat and the Republican Party? Why? Because there was a partisan bill that came out and the Republicans didn't agree with the bill, so they didn't want to sign it. They figured leave the bill that's in place now, leave the border the way they are now. And no, what happened? What did the Biden administration decide to do? No, screw that. We're going to abolish what exists now. We're going to swing the gates open, but guess what? We don't have a policy to replace it. We're going to leave it like that, and we're going to blame it on the Republicans because they wouldn't agree with this. Bullpucky. That's ridiculous. You put the whole company in jeopardy, the whole country. You put the whole country in jeopardy because you wanted to play political games and try to get the public to go against the Republican Party. That's ridiculous. I've never seen such madness.
Start talking about cat memes. If I have to,
But it
if
wasn't
I have
just a
to
meme,
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys.
Oh, that's crazy. They talk about the cat memes. I saw a video the other day. The guy literally made a song about what Trump said. And I'm not talking about the one that's on TikTok. There's another one. He made a song. It's like a reggae song. And it's got a really nice beat to it. I mean, I don't even know if I could be able to play it on YouTube because the guy who made the song is a YouTuber and he's a musician. So, and he's got the song on Spotify, so he is selling it. So, I don't want to get a copyright strike for that, but it is out there. It is so good. It is like amazing. If I next video I make, I'll try to leave something in the comments about the information about who made the video and maybe even a link to it because it's just so entertaining. I loved it. The song is so cool. You gotta hear it.
Are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said that
ought
you're
to be
creating
talking
a
about
story.
public policy.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you created. So the eating dogs and cats thing is not
We are
accurate.
creating.
He didn't say that. What are you talking about?
From firsthand accounts from my constituents. I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it.
Exactly.
I didn't create 20,000 illegal migrants coming into Springfield thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. Her policy.
Does she have like a problem with English? Is that what it is? Does she not understand what he said? Because I understood it very clearly. It was very clear, very concise, very easy to understand, very easy to comprehend.
policies did that, but yes, we created the actual focus that allowed the American media to talk about this story and the suffering caused by Kamala Harris's policies.
Do you condemn the
correct.
Proud Boys, even if it's just 12, even if it's just one marching in Springfield?
Oh, so now she wants to go. Now she wants to pull up into something else now. So, boy, she is something. She doesn't play. She does not play.
Dana, I condemn all white supremacists. I'm obviously not.
There we go.
I'm married to a non-white person. I don't like these
His
people.
wife is
but
a
I
woman of
think
color.
We have to keep our focus not on 12 marchers going down the street, but on the fact that thousands of residents have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's policy.
Yep.
I find this very unusual, Dana, that the American media is more interested in a bunch of losers marching down the street than they are in the fact that Kamala Harris has made these people's lives.
So there you go, Dana. He just made the statement. A bunch of losers walking down the street. What more of a condemning statement do you want from this man in regards to that?
Lives worse. I'm not talking about 12 Proud Boys. I'm talking about 40,000 residents, 40,000 constituents of mine, many of whom can't afford housing and food because of Kamala Harris's open border.
Exactly. I'm not here to talk about a group of people marching down the street. I'm here to talk about the people that are there suffering under these conditions that need help.
That is what I want to focus the media's attention on. We're going to keep on doing it because I think the American people deserve a government that puts their interests first. And can I make just one more final point about this, Dana?
Yes, please.
You've heard a lot of the media focusing on every possible distraction from the story in Springfield. You've heard them focus on these Proud Boys marches. You've heard just in this interview, Dana, the suggestion that because some psychopath is calling it a bomb threat, somehow we have to then ignore 40,000 Springfieldians
That's not what I
who are
suggested.
having their.
But no, it is what you're suggesting, because you're suggesting that the concern of the Proud Boys marching down the street is more of an issue than the actual people who are there that don't have jobs, don't have food, that don't have housing, don't have a place to stay. Come on. Why don't you focus on the real issues, Dana Bash?
Their lives worsened by Kamala Harris's policies? Well, what is the implication, Dana? I actually love to have this conversation right now live on air.
Right.
What is the implication when you say.
Right, but I bet you she's going to weasel out of this conversation. Let's see how. Let's see how she weasels out of it.
You calling out these problems has caused a bomb threat. You accused me of causing a bomb threat. Doesn't that mean you should shut up about the residents of Springfield? Don't you realize you're engaged?
Shut up, Dana Bash. Yes, JD Vance. He literally said, why don't you just shut up? Literally. But he said it in a political way. I like that. He said it in a very nonchalant way. Don't you think you should shut up about that? Because, you really don't know what you're talking about? Maybe you should just, shut up.
Basic propaganda to silence the concerns of American citizens? Please.
Yeah, why don't you shut up? Because you're putting propaganda out there that's putting people in jeopardy. Dana Bash from CNN.
I was quoting the actual mayor of.
She's quoting the actual mayor. Meanwhile, I've heard nothing from the mayor of Springfield. Why doesn't she at least show a video clip or a statement or something? Nothing. She's just quoting him because she said she's quoting him. Do I take her word on that? Hell no. I don't take her word on that, and I don't think anybody should. I think she should be fact-checked.
Springfield, Ohio, begging after the bomb threats, begging federal officials, to please stop putting negative attention.
So how does begging officials and begging government officials turn into begging you, JD Vance, personally to stop saying what you're saying? That makes no sense. But this is how she works. She maneuvers it around, takes an open-ended statement and focuses it and makes it about you and makes it about JD Vance instead of about all the politicians that are standing by doing nothing about it.
On his city. And I'm not talking about the policies. I'm not talking about the very real challenges that Springfield has. I'm talking about baseless rumors about Haitians eating dogs and cats. And that, after that was said on a debate stage, that is when these bomb threats started. And
look, all Trump did was Trump spoke about what he probably read in either a tweet or on Reddit or saw somewhere on the internet. That's what Trump does. That's what he does on a regular basis. Now, if somebody else fact checked it and found out more about it, great. Maybe you should be thanking him for bringing attention to it so that you could actually look into it.
That is a fact. Senator, I just want to move on. I have two other quick issues separate from this that I want to
I want to move on because I'm losing here and I have nothing to say, and you're making me look bad.
talk to you about.
Dana,
Go ahead.
again,
Please, go ahead.
I think this is actually I think this is an important conversation.
Okay.
Look, the Springfield mayor,
I don't want to let this go. I think this is important, Dana. Come on.
he's dealing with a lot of terrible things. I certainly sympathize with the guy, and we're going to try to help him out. But he did not accuse me of inciting a bomb threat. He just
No, he did not. He never accused JD Vance directly of inciting any kind of bomb threat or anything.
didn't. And if we're going to take the firsthand accounts of people who are on the ground in Springfield, why don't you bring on some of the people on your program who say that the migrants are eating their pets? You're applying
Why not?
a double standard.
Why not?
You're saying if one person accuses JD Vance, I'm going to take that person's
you have
word
somebody
as the
who's-
gospel
you
truth,
have somebody
even if
whose
you
name-
misrepresent it.
There she goes. She doesn't like what he's saying, so she's going to talk over him again.
If you have another person who's saying they're eating the cats, you're going to completely ignore them, attack them, silence them, and harass them. That double standard is why people don't trust the media and why we're not talking about public policy 51 days out from a presidential election.
Okay.
51 days from
Somebody
now.
you want to tell us about who has proof that somebody ate their cat. Of course, we want to hear that. We certainly have had no evidence that that is actually something that happened. And I just want to say, I have not
Ate the cat.
accused you
Could you
of
imagine?
anything. I am quoting the mayor who said, after these bomb threats, federal politicians are negatively spinning our city. They need to know they are hurting our city. It was their words that did it. Okay? That I'm quoting him, and it seems
Their words. She said their words, not JD Vance's words. Not JD Vance's words particularly, but the words of the politicians in general. Open-ended statement. No focalizing that into one individual. Come on, man. Do I really have to give a class on how to be a politician? Please. I'm not. I don't want to be one. I never want to be one. No. I can't do that. That's not what I do. I'm not, no,
to be
ever.
a
Dana,
cause and effect.
Roll the tape. You just accused me of inciting a bomb threat. There's no evidence of this. I condemn.
And you got it on video, JD. She's literally accusing you of causing a bomb threat. And there goes the video proof right there. Right on the air, broadcast for the whole world to see. Look how she closes her eyes as she realizes, oh, no, I did say that, didn't I?
Violence and threats of violence.
glad-
We should be able to do that and also still talk about what's going on in Springfield.
I'm glad to hear that you condemn it. That is very important. We had a lot of other issues to get to, but I really hope that you do come back so we
Sure.
can talk about other
No, she
issues.
doesn't.
Senator, thank you so much.
Thanks, Dana.
Amazing. Amazing. And if you like that video and you like if you liked our reaction to that, by all means, give us a like and a subscribe in the comment section. Let's talk about it. Let's get to it. Let's talk about it. I'm really interested in getting a conversation going about this, finding out what you think. Your opinion is very important to me, and I'd like you to share with me. So like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you.